The Miami Heat are already making preparations for the 2025-26 season. On Friday, June 27th, the Heat signed undrafted forward Steve Settle III to an Exhibit 10 contract. By joining the Heat on an Exhibit 10, Settle will team up with Miami throughout their preseason preparations. He will be present for the training camp and their preseason schedule. Miami can decide whether to convert Settle into a two-way contract or allow him to hit the free agency market. "I don't know what to expect," Settle said. "It's kind of your life can change at any phone call. I know my agent is working hard for me. I know I've done my part. Once that happens, I think the real work starts for me and I'll continue to grow and get better and become a better player. I can't wait to get this journey started." Settle is a 5-year college product. He spent the first 3 years of his college career with Howard before moving to the Temple Owls for the final 2 years of his collegiate tenure. Settle ended this past season with 12.6 points, 6.2 rebounds, and 1.7 assists. Heat excited for new rookie. While Settle will be preparing to fight for a two-way contract this summer, the Heat will be creating a plan to get the best out of Caspara's Jushionis, whom they drafted 20th overall on June 25th. During a recent news conference, Vice President and Assistant General Manager Adam Simon shared his thoughts on the Heat's latest rookie. "We see tremendous potential with Cass," Simon said. "You're talking about a 6'5" guard with a +3 pointer, good athlete but with a high IQ. So if you combine all those things with a work ethic, there's no reason why you can't mold him into a very good NBA player. I think that's why we were attracted to take him tonight. We didn't think he would be there. We had him higher, obviously, than where we picked him." Jushionis could find himself stepping into a starting role to begin the new season. Terry Rozier hasn't cemented himself as the team's long-term guard. Therefore, letting Jushionis learn on the fly could be deemed the right move by the coaching staff. Bill Simmons upset Heat landed Jushionis. In a recent episode of the Bill Simmons podcast, Bill Simmons shared his frustrations that Jushionis fell to the Heat with the 20th pick. "He fills the box score," Simmons said. "He's just going to be good. It really is annoying to me. Then they'll sign Kuminga, and guess what? He'll be good for them too. Then all sudden we'll be like, we're back with the Heat? I thought we killed them. We thought they were dead." Jushionis fell out of the draft lottery due to concerns over his turnovers. He averaged 3.7 mistakes per game last season, causing multiple teams to pass on him in the draft process. Still, at 6'6" with elite processing speed and passing ability, the Heat could have their guard of the future. Now, to make Heat fans even more excited, if Settle can prove himself over the summer, Miami could have 2 new prospects to develop in the coming months and years. The Los Angeles Lakers' biggest need during the offseason will be at the center position, but the team could use another competent wing and a scoring threat. Perhaps they could find that in Miami Heat forward Andrew Wiggins, who won a championship with the Golden State Warriors. Wiggins, who is widely regarded as one of the better defenders in the NBA, would be an excellent addition. According to a report from Anthony Irwin, the Lakers and Heat have spoken about a potential trade involving Wiggins, making it possible that something could get done over the next few weeks to months. The Lakers and Heat have continued their trade talks. I reported the other day that the Lakers checked in on Andrew Wiggins and negotiations have advanced from there. "A deal isn't imminent, but there's been plenty of conversation on this front," Irwin said on Wednesday. Heat are looking to move Wiggins. According to the Miami Herald, the Miami Heat are expected to make Wiggins available, and Barry Jackson said that Miami is very open to trading its wing, according to a source. The Heat is very open to trading Wiggins, according to a source. Removing his $30 million player option for 2026-27 from Miami's books and replacing it with expiring contracts would give Miami $45 million in cap space in the summer of 2026, with the ability to create more. Hachimura is due $18.2 million next season. He later added what a potential trade could look like, which included Rui Hachimura, Dalton Connect, and more. The Heat would need to absorb additional salaries, Vincent or Kleiber, in that hypothetical transaction, with Wiggins due to make $28.2 million next season. Hachimura averaged 13.1 points and 5.0 rebounds in 59 games and 57 starts last season. Another hypothetical permutation that would make sense: Hachimura, Dalton Connect, and Shake Milton for Wiggins, with Miami then rerouting Connect to Charlotte in returns for Miami's 2027 or 2028 first-round pick that was sent to the Hornets in the Terry Rozier deal, he wrote. Hachimura on his way out of Los Angeles? Hachimura has been in trade talks for the Los Angeles Lakers over the past few weeks since the season ended, with Jovan Boha of The Athletic recently stating that there's a possibility that the Lakers could look to move on from their starting five. He later added that it's possible that Hachimura could be the sixth man, or they could look to trade him. I think they need to look at potentially, changing the starting lineup, and then it's a conversation of, is it Rui as the sixth man, or is it Rui going out? And you're using that to go get the center, or to go get the weight. So to answer your question right now, I would go like a 5.5. I think it's maybe more likely than not that Rui is traded, but I think it is pretty close to 50-50 right now, Boha said. If the Lakers could get Wiggins in return for Hachimura and more, it feels like a smart trade to make. He didn't play well for the Miami Heat last season, but during his time with the Golden State Warriors, he averaged over 17 points in 4 of the 5 seasons he was there. With free agency kicking off in a bit over 30 hours, let's round up some relevant Bucks rumors coming across the wires this weekend. We'll start with players who aren't currently with the team, who perhaps might join via trade or signing, and the first one is a name longtime Bucks fans have long thought about: Andrew Wiggins. Since going first overall in the 2014 draft to Cleveland, traded not long after to Minnesota, he's been a what-if story. Had Milwaukee won the lottery that season instead of finishing second and taking Jabari Parker, whose promising career was sadly derailed by 2 catastrophic knee injuries, they likely would have taken the 2015 Rookie of the Year. What might have been? Since then, he hasn't been a star, but he had a huge NBA Finals in 2022 with Golden State and earned himself a much more reasonable contract after his rookie scale extension at the max ended up pretty unfavorable. That made him a long-discussed trade chip for the Dubs, and sure enough, he found himself on the move to Miami in the Jimmy Butler trade. He was a solid fit with Miami, posting 19.0 PPG, 4.2 RPG, and 3.3 APG on .458/.360/.731 shooting, typical production for him. But the Heat are always star hunting, and while they missed, like they usually do, on Kevin Durant, Wiggins' contract again looks very movable. Enter the Bucks, who reportedly are interested in Wiggins, per Clutch Points Brett Siegel. Heat GM Pat Riley has apparently put Wiggins on the trade block, and the Bucks have a level of interest. It's almost certain that to acquire the 30-year-old, Milwaukee would have to send out Kyle Kuzma in the same trade, either to Miami or elsewhere. Kuzma is 5 months younger than Wiggins, but there is obviously a gulf between the players talent-wise. So it comes down to the contracts in terms of gauging value. Each is signed for the next 2 seasons, but Wiggins can opt out before 2026 to 27 and hit free agency. While Kuzma may not have positive value on his current deal, he makes $42.8 million over the next 2 years on declining salary, $22.4 million in 2025 to 26 and $20.40 the following season, while Wiggins is due $58.4 million, $28.2 million and $30.2 million, respectively. With that significant uptick in money, Miami would save a lot if this was a one-for-one deal, meaning it might not require Milwaukee to attach much draft compensation, if any at all. If the Bucks did this, they'd be taking back more money than they're sending out, hard capping them at the $195.9 million first apron. In terms of free agents who wouldn't require a trade to come to or stay in Wisconsin, the Bucks are also sniffing around Sixers big man Gershon Yabusele, according to Jake Fisher of the Stein Line. The Frenchman came back to the States on a vet minimum last offseason on the heels of a huge performance in the Olympics, and we here at Brew Hoop have liked him as a future Buck since it became clear he belonged. Philadelphia can only give him a small non-bird raise on his minimum salary next year, and his production in his NBA returns certainly merits a bigger raise. So they would need to use an exception to re-up him, just like any team that has no cap space, which is nearly every other team in the league. Yabusele probably will command some or all of a team's $14.1 million full mid-level exception, which Milwaukee has access to, and certainly at least the $5.7 million taxpayer portion of it. The problem is that then Milwaukee wouldn't be able to use some or all of that exception to re-sign Gary Trent Jr. or Kevin Porter Jr., both of whom the Bucks only have non-bird rights on, same situation as Philly is in with Yabu. They also have the $5.1 million biannual exception, so a world exists where they can split the full MLE between two of these three and then give the other the BA. It's just not very likely. Today is the day Bobby Portis must decide whether to opt into his $13.4 million salary for 2025 to 26 or opt out and become a free agent. Should he do the latter and seek a salary the Bucks aren't willing to pay, Yabu would be a great replacement. While he's a couple inches shorter, he's beefier and a much better defender than Portis and would fit well alongside Giannis in the front court with his switchability. He's no slouch on the other end either, notching 11.0 ppg last season on .501/.380/.725 shooting. As far as Portis goes, Fisher also mentioned yesterday that he's generating a considerable amount of curiosity league-wide as he weighs the option decision. Fisher believes Portis would go to the top of the mid-level market if he opts out, and as we've previewed, the MLE is what he'd be able to get from essentially every team. Milwaukee has his bird rights, though, allowing them to go beyond that $14.1 million first-year starting salary. With Naz Reid signing a new 5-year, $25 million deal with the Wolves on Friday, Portis appears to be licking his fingers, if his social media is any indication. Reid is several years younger than Portis, but they are very similar players in terms of on-court production and role, so I'd bet Portis is hoping for at least $20 million in year one of his next contract. That might be what happens, but Fisher thinks that the Bucks will be able to bring him back and get him to pick up his option. My latest intel surrounding longtime Bucks forward Bobby Portis suggests Milwaukee is well-placed to retain the fan favorite. That scenario would almost certainly entail Portis declining his player option Sunday and striking a multi-year agreement with the Bucks in a similar manner to what we saw Friday night when Naz Reid and Minnesota re-upped their partnership. A couple more notes. Fisher echoes speculation from others that Brook Lopez will not return to Milwaukee. Perhaps the most established center headed for the open market is the ring-winning Brook Lopez. 2 summers ago, you'll recall, both San Antonio and Houston pursued Lopez aggressively before the Bucks successfully convinced him to re-sign. This time around, however, numerous rival teams are bracing for the center-craving Los Angeles Lakers to make a run at luring Lopez away from the Bucks. Even if the Lakers plan to address their center void by pursuing Atlanta's Clint Capella instead, or perhaps a target not as frequently discussed, there is a growing belief Lopez will indeed be on the move next week after a highly successful 7-season stint alongside Giannis Antetokounmpo. I've heard that Lopez didn't enjoy his first stint with LA, so they might have to overpay him to entice him to return with their full MLE. That could cause some first apron issues for the Lakers. And finally, Kevin Porter Jr. officially declined his 2025 to 26 player option yesterday and is now a free agent.